Here in the UK, we bury millions of tonnes of rubbish into landfill sites every single year. But how much of that waste that goes into the ground is actually waste? Tom Heap's been investigating.
In today's disposable society, it's often easier to buy new products than to make do and mend. But are we about to disappear under a mountain of waste? For decades, we've been throwing our rubbish into big holes, huge ones in fact. Every year in the UK, we produce enough waste to fill Wembley Stadium to the brim 70 times over. But, as I'll explain later, much of what I'm walking over could have a future life. In the meantime, there are greenhouse gases to worry about. Most sites do what they can to reduce the problem of gases seeping into the atmosphere, capturing methane in pipework like this. But there are still environmental problems arising from landfill for both our land and air. Not only that, but as we're forced to cut down on landfill to meet EU targets, the cost of putting our rubbish into the ground is going up. And if you think this doesn't affect you, then think again.
It costs an absolute fortune to put waste into holes in the ground. The landfill tax, £48 a tonne, rising every year for the next 4 years up to £80 a tonne. It's going to cost every household in the country probably £49, £50 a year just in tax if we're not careful.
But people might put their head in their hands and say, why is this all costing me so much?
There's two issues. Our own government has quite rightly decided that we shouldn't carry on like this, and also we're going to be facing European fines in a few years' time as well, and they're likely to be £180 million, I think, the first year the fines come out. If our waste stream is as large in 2020 as it is at the moment, that's £180 million of our money that could be spent on parks, playgrounds, theatres, anything better than spending it on landfill.
Landfill isn't the only way we can deal with our unrecycled waste, but the main alternative is controversial too. At this energy recovery plant, instead of rubbish being buried, it's burnt. Richard, in outline terms, how does an energy from waste plant work?
What we're looking to do here on a site like this is bring in local waste, non-recyclable waste, deliver it to this facility and use it as a fuel instead of using coal or some other fossil fuel. We raise steam, put it through a turbine and produce electricity.
And a site like this, roughly how many homes can it power?
Well, we produce around 30 megawatts of electricity and that will power around 48,000 homes.
It might sound good, but some environmentalists disagree. What's better, putting waste in the ground in landfill or burning it to make useful energy?
To some extent, neither. What you need to do is to make sure before you put it in the ground, if you are going to landfill it, you maximise the removal of all the recyclables and you compost it to remove the activity that will produce methane in the landfill, which is a serious greenhouse gas. So you can still end up landfilling material, but the key is getting out as much as possible of the recyclables and the biological activity, and that is actually better for the climate than burning it.
The good news is there has been some progress. Due to rising costs and growing awareness, the amount of household rubbish we bury has gone down by a third in the last 10 years. Tracy Millard would like to do her bit to see that drop further, but like many of us, she doesn't always get around to it. Her friend Rachel Strauss is a radical recycler who's on a mission to produce zero waste this year, and she's going to give Tracy some top tips on reducing her rubbish. So here's the rubbish you're somewhat confused about. You're not quite sure where to put it. Can you help?
Well, yeah, the first thing I'm noticing is one of these Jiffy bags, which I personally keep that and reuse it next time I wanted to post something.
Okay.
The outers from the crisp bags, they can be recycled with your crisp bags, so they go off to charity and get made into other products that can go in with the individual bags. These things here, I'm noticing fruit wrappers and toilet roll and frozen vegetables. With this type of plastic, if you can stretch it, you can see it stretching like that without it tearing, then it's polythene.
Right.
Now, polythene can be recycled with carrier bags in some large supermarkets, so you may find that you can do that locally.
Okay.
This is a big problem for a lot of people, the meat packaging. Your only option with this really is to shop in a different way, which might be using a local butcher. And you'll find that then you don't get a plastic tray, you just get a thin plastic bag, so you're reducing the packaging that you come home with.
What do you make of what you heard? Because it strikes me that some things actually require change of habits, like this meat tray, you've got to buy it somewhere else, or others, you know, a lot more knowledge and a lot more engagement.
I mean, the meat tray certainly has a bit of a concern for me because, like you said, it would change. I would have to change my ways. But the plastic, I mean, I could certainly do that, save that up over the week, and then take it when I do my weekly shopping. So to me, that's nothing extra.
And Rachel, how much rubbish will you actually throw away, black bin waste, this year?
0.
0?
That's what we're aiming for.
Are you going to make it?
We hope so.
What do you make of that?
No chance. I'd like to say that I could get to 0, but I know it's not possible.
We can certainly all do our bit on a domestic level, but what about big business? Are they doing their share? Of course, if I'm going to throw away less rubbish, it would help if I could buy less packaging in the first place, but when you look at some of the stuff on the supermarket shelves, it really seems like we don't have much of a choice. Some supermarkets, including this one, have committed to reducing the amount of packaging they use. In fact, there are legal and environmental requirements for packaging design and production. Aha!
Hello.
Well, Treva, I've got a few items here that raise packaging questions for me, at least. This is an intriguing one. The organic broccoli is wrapped, the non-organic is loose. Why?
Well, of course, the loose one would go in a bag anyway for transporting. But what plastic normally does is increase the lifespan of the product. So this is a really good example. Cucumbers. And loads of customers probably go into store and think, why on earth is there plastic around the cucumber?
I certainly do. Almost every time I buy one of these, wonder why.
Right, so that's because if the plastic wasn't there, the moisture would lose its moisture within 3 days. But with the plastic there, it will last up to 2 weeks. And that's really important so that we don't have food waste.
OK, now some of these confuse me. These are double packaged. If you look at these sweet corn, they've got an outer thing and then a tray. Same with the bacon, an outer foil, and then 3 trays in there. Why do I need that?
Well, I imagine that this would be about convenience. You could keep one of these, put it in the fridge, and these 2 could maybe go in the freezer. But also it's to protect the product. If you didn't have something quite substantial there, something plastic, then the bacon could break and then the customer wouldn't buy it.
Well, I've shown you my trolley. Let's have a look at yours then.
Okay,
You've got
have a
some
look at
boasting
mine.
things here.
Yeah, indeed. So, Tom, these are the kind of things we're doing. I said we had these 4,500 projects on the go. So some of the things that we're doing, that we've done. So we've taken the plastic lid off things like the multi-dip.
Oh, so normally that would have a hard plastic lid you could reseal, yeah?
Yeah, and the same with the coleslaw there. Grapes is quite an interesting one. Anything loose, I think people do wonder why there is this plastic. I mean, actually with grapes, it's to keep the bunch together. But also, when these come off, they can be awful. People can fall over them in store, trip on, slide on grapes. So that's
So
quite
the
a
really
big
health
reason
and
for that.
safety sometimes comes into the packaging questions as well.
Sometimes it does, indeed.
Intriguing.
Chicken. We've removed the plastic tray. So we feel that in this plastic bag, it's protected enough, and we've removed the tray.
And you've actually said on it 68% less packaging to make it clear.
Indeed.
And while some companies are reducing the amount of waste they produce, others are going even further by reusing what other people have thrown away. Julian Richards builds kitchens made from nearly all recycled material.
The drawer fronts on this are made from a mixture of recycled yoghurt pots and fridge liners, as are the doors on the wall units. When we come down to the worktops, still recycled, but something quite different. This is how it starts its life out, and it's, believe it or not, recycled vending machine coffee cups.
It's not just coffee cups we can turn into something useful. There's much, much more. 20 million tonnes of it, in fact. The weight of rubbish we send to landfill every year is about the same as 1.5 million double-decker buses. And in bulk, it does just look like a whole load of useless garbage. But when you get close up, it's amazing how much could actually be used quite easily to make something else. These iron bars melted down into more iron. Rubber can go into new playground surfaces. Plastic into more plastic. And there's aluminium cans here too. And even these feathers can be made into something, a fertiliser. We're heading slowly in the right direction with waste. And with our unending appetite for new purchases and dwindling natural resources to make them, we might soon start looking at rubbish as the new raw material and landfill sites as potential gold mines.